What's up, associates, and welcome back to the Anime Association. And I am your host, Kaio Tim times 10, and I am joined with the one, the only, Ginyu Talk. How are you doing today?
Yo,
I guess that's how he doing today, just a yo. But we are talking about Devouring Whale episode 4. But before we get into that, go on ahead and click that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you can stay up to date with all things association. So, before we get started, what are your overall thoughts on this episode?
I actually quite enjoyed this episode. I think there wasn't a lot going on, but I don't say there wasn't a lot going on. There was tons going on, but like not enough, not in terms of what I was hoping for, especially on the previous episodes where we were discussing where things were gonna go. But I did like that. There were a lot of not so much reveals, but questions are being asked by certain characters about certain situations, but also seeing some of the actions between the beasts that these people have tamed. So that was quite interesting. There was, like I said, there wasn't that much dialogue in the episode. It was a lot more action packed, which sometimes I do appreciate, because I know in the last episode or two, there was just a bit more talking as they were kind of setting up the world. So just seeing this kind of come through now with a lot more action was pretty good. So yeah, good episode for me.
Yeah, I feel the same. I like the fact that it brought back up the ease sect. I wasn't too sure where they were going to go at the end of the last episode, so I really did enjoy that they brought it back in there and they, brought in the shadow pet and everything. Um, Now there was I've been looking at every time it comes up, it keeps on saying like they're at a certain stage or a certain phase or something like that. And I know we talked about it last episode about the stages and phases, but do you I do you know what this like spiritual bonding phase is? It seems like it keeps on. I guess that is has what their main like their Pikachu or Onyx type of thing is for these characters. Is that this is their main pet that they would use and that they can only bond with one because I think it only came up with well, they said something about like the three tail Vulpix type pet, and then they said it with the shadow, and then again with the catfish. I think those are the only three that they've actually said something about the spiritual bonding, if I'm not mistaken. So it is am I do you think I'm getting that right? Do you feel the same way, or is there something else you feel is going on with the spiritual bonding?
I think too. I think that, in my opinion, the way I kind of had interpreted it reminded me of a anime called Shaman King, where you bond with the spirit. Depending on the strength of the bond, the more powerful the spirit is. So in terms of like the bond or level of mastery with the spirit. So I just interpreted it as the shadow side monster was a level 7, so meaning that clearly him and the user had a very deep bond there. He's obviously mastered all his abilities, he knows them through and out. The other ones where it was a level 3 for the crystal one, I thought it felt more like, oh, okay, it's probably a more recent one that he is maybe not he doesn't use as often, but he is still in the process of taming it and I think he's at that level 3 of the tame control, where he can use only a certain level of abilities, but because he hasn't done level 4, 5, 6, and 7, he's still limited in what he can actually use the crystal for. That's kind of how I had interpreted it.
Uh, yeah, no, I guess that makes a lot more sense. Or I'm not going to say a lot more sense, but I can understand where you're coming from with it. As far as the stronger the bond, the stronger they would be, because of course, obviously, the if it wasn't for the hacks of the catfish, they would have lost. Because the shadow pet was incredibly strong, as we saw, especially when he got reinforced with some type of artifact or something. Uh, but we also got an actual, which we kind of already knew, but it kind of supported the fact that uh, I can't think of what his Lou. I think
Yeah,
that's how you
Lou.
say his name was actually betrayed. That somebody inside of his circle betrayed him. Type of ordeal, but he doesn't. Later on, he's thinking about it, and he doesn't think that was anybody within his circle right now. So it wasn't. Uh, the girl's name is like Gil or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, you. Yeah.
Or the other two, like the girl that bonded with the panda and then the other random guy there. Do you think it's any of those three, or do you think we have interacted with the traitor personally at this point in time?
No, I think there is someone that they are yet to meet who most likely at the time will probably because it kind of feels like he doesn't remember everything or is still kind of going through the motions. So I think what's probably going to happen here is they're going to meet this person. It's going to take a minute, and then we're going to find out later down the line, after they'd already tried to be all chummy with him, later on, to find out that that user was the person that betrayed them. Or they're going to be all chummy, and then they're going to be a situation where they betray them again. Then we get that story of the first, finding out that this was the person that betrayed him the first time round.
Uh, yeah, no, that makes sense. So something kind of like the pavilion is going to be building back up, and the person's going to come back around because obviously, everybody that left the pavilion at the episode one, was it, or episode two? I think it was episode one
Yeah.
that no, it was episode two that they're going because they all wanted to be there. That's why they didn't leave within that first year. They all wanted to stick around and try to hold the pavilion together. So, building off of what you're saying, I think like the pavilion's going to start building back up because obviously they have the master back, and he's just a monster with it, even with the more weaker pets, right? He
Yeah.
obviously the catfish is naturally weak, and then you have the dog and like the cactus plant type of thing. But we also see that they have like rare candies and stones and stuff like that are powering them up. Talking
Yes.
about that, do you think there's going to be any artifacts or level up charms that the masters can wear, not the pets can use, but something that the masters themselves can wear that can amplify their connection to it? And that's kind of bringing it back kind of more to the spiritual bonding phase,
Mm.
but just something along that gives them a better connection or control of some of these pets that they have.
Um, I don't think so, and I probably wouldn't want them to have an artifact where like one of the masters can wear it, and then it amplifies the pet itself. Because you would, for a master to wear a one of these items, you'd need to have a pairing artifact that the pet wears. So then so you kind of feel that they are linked.
Hmm.
Because if he's just wearing it, you're thinking, okay, how does it know that this is, if he's got three pets out there, how does he know that this is the pet that needs to be amplified? That's
Okay.
why I think it'll need to have two pairings where the pet that he's going to amplify is the one that has it. So when he uses his one, it's already automatically linked there. But if we can avoid just having the artifacts on the master, that would be great. I like the fact that, like, even the cactus, when it was upgrading, it was just itself. It was eating whatever was in those briefcases, and it was upgrading, and he that's why he was just like, oh yeah, the cactus one is still upgrading. He can't use him. So I prefer that than having any artifact that links between both of them, because it could just be a bit more messy, especially when you're trying to switch up the power set of from the cactus to the dog to the catfish. If you're having to keep if all the pets are having to pass that artifact on that's linked with the master itself, it could be a bit messy, in my opinion.
Uh, Yeah, I didn't. I guess that would make sense that there would have to be something that would link to the overall to the pet that they want to control at that point in time. I guess that
Yep.
does make sense instead of like a an area of effect or per se type of artifact type of thing. So that does make sense because I was thinking, we they have pets that kind of have like that Charizard effect, right? They're obviously strong and they're obviously can be rebellious and stuff like that. We at least that's kind of the when we first met the horned panda. That's kind of what the type of vibes that I got that he could possibly be like a Charizard rebellious
Yep.
type of thing, which I don't think it would be, but even at this point in time at least. But talking about the panda, we saw that they had like a ritual bonding type of thing. Now we ended up seeing that again with like a I forgot what it was called, but it was like a fireball. It was some type of fire metal type of pet, right?
Yes.
And we saw that it was the kind of the same bonding or capturing type of thing aspect, but just not like a submissive type of thing. But
Mm.
we also saw that for some reason there was some effect that took place on Lou himself. What do you think that is? Because we did see like it was like some apparition that appeared behind him, or two different apparitions that happened. Because I think we saw two sets of eyes on each side of him. What do you think was going on right there?
I think on I think on that one, it kind of felt like, because a lot of it does have a lot of like this Pokemon, Digimon theme in terms of like in terms of a trainer and a pet. And I think possibly the one that he was trying to catch at that moment is could potentially be deemed as a legendary level kind of thing, where he's obviously not strong enough, to control it. And that's why he kind of felt that after effect, because as soon as after that whole process, he kind of just passed out. Now, the interesting thing is, we don't know, was the bond successful? Does he have the pet, or he just passed out and it's gone kaput? It's not in play anymore. But that's what I felt more like, is that it's a pet. It was an entity that was at a higher level than he can control, and hence why it had that ominous air aura on it, and that's why he passed out, because he's just not at that level yet.
Uh, Yeah, I guess I didn't really think about it too much at that level. I was thinking maybe like there's some type of like like I was about to say cursed Pokemon, cursed pet type of thing going on, where some of them might carry curses or be a little bit more vicious in nature.
Hmm.
Which I guess would kind of tie in with what you're saying. Not necessarily a legendary thing, but more so like their mental isn't strong enough or their spirit isn't strong enough type of thing, or maybe he's gaining too many bonds in this body way too quick, because we've seen he has three now, and we saw that his catfish had already 10x in size between the last time that we saw the catfish out to this time we saw it was huge at this point in time when we saw it again. uh which I guess is just kind. I guess the next time we'll see it too, it will be bigger because he absorbed the shadow in it of itself. Uh, but before we get to the big thing at the ending, what do you think the pet is? Did we see the pet that broke out of the cage? Like what? Because they saw the cage broke open, but we didn't see anything from that, from my knowledge, unless I just missed it while watching it. Did we see anything like that? Like a follow up of that?
No, I think there wasn't anything on there. It was just more or less that ominous shadow, that ominous aura, and then I think the explosion, or somewhat of an explosion, if you will. And then he just passed out. We didn't see anything after that. So that's why I was like, we don't know at the moment if he successfully bonded, or because it was too strong during that bonding process, he just passed out and then that thing broke free. But so that's what the quest. So that's the question we need answered: is, was it a successful bond and he has it, or was the bond not successful, and this thing, because of the power that kind of was emitted from that process, the cage broke, and then that thing just scurried off somewhere. So that's a question that we need answered. We'll probably get that in the next couple of episodes, because I don't think it's going to be a throwaway thing, especially with that ominous aura that made him pass out. So I'm hoping to see something in the next few episodes on that.
Yeah, I agree. I think they we will get more on there. At first I was thinking it was the orb type thing, but then I was like it broke out of the cage. Why would it be back into the cage unless it's more unless these pets can be more sentient than what we believe that they are.
Hmm.
Or maybe they're being controlled. Maybe this is already somebody's pet that's devious already, right?
Yeah.
Like a Giovanni controlling it type of thing, right? Uh,
Sure.
which I do kind of see it kind of leaning towards a little bit more is that there might be like a Team Rocket Giovanni type of thing going on at
Yeah.
some point in time. Now, obviously, we're making these connections because we have it in our head capturing monsters, right? Pocket monsters, whatever you want to call it. So, uh, take that with a loose interpretation for the listeners and watchers. But then we get to the big part, which I have been waiting for, is that Gyu asks Lu, "Are you the master? Are you his disciple? Why do you have all these same mannerisms?" And obviously, Liu is sitting there contemplating if he should tell her. Do you think this will culminate into him confiding in her that this is who he is, and then they keep it at that point in time, and then like she kind of will help him because there's a year missing of his life that he doesn't know anything that happened at the pavilion. So maybe there could be something like, oh, this person went missing for 3 months and then came back and was just acting funny, or after, or like you got eight and this person wasn't at the funeral, or whatever it is. Do you think this will culminate in something, or do you think he's going to leave it as a mystery for her to figure out and lie and be like, oh no, I'm his little brother he never talked about, or something like that?
I think they're gonna probably leave this one a mystery for a while, because I don't anticipate him answering her at, even when we get to episode 5. I don't think he's gonna answer. I think he's gonna either say, "I don't know," or give her a whole speech of like, "I feel weird. There's something going on. I just don't know. Maybe who is this person?" There's just so many things. I just don't think they're gonna splat it out in episode 5, unless this is a 10 episode 10 to 12 episode series. Fine, then they'll probably give us an episode 5, and then we kind of go on going forward. But if it's a bit of a longer if it's of a longer series, I think we probably might get more of a reveal in about episode 8, 9, is when something else is going to happen that really emanates that the previous master, that the master himself, that kind of makes it a bit more obvious that it can't be avoided. There is a link, but at this moment in time, she's putting dots together, and she's kind of thinking like she's kind of come to that conclusion himself, but I don't think he knows. But eventually something's going to happen that's going to make it so clear cut, that creates that kind of gets to that point where we figure it out, that they have some type of connection, on whatever the
Uh,
connection is.
and that's kind of where I feel like we're kind of at that junction right now because of the fact that the catfish got revealed. Pretty much, it actually caught me a little bit off guard in the fight that he brought the catfish out. I thought he was just going to utilize the plant and the dog some more. Which the dog was missing throughout the whole shadow fight. I just want to point that out because I didn't bring it up before. But there's too many of the dots that are out there now, and I feel because she's obviously a smarter character than what they show her to be as. She's way more competent than what they show her as. She might be weak as a pet tamer or whatever they call, but she's clearly intelligent, that she at least emotionally intelligent, that she can pick up on these type of cues. and there's too much stuff behind
Hmm.
where I think if he doesn't give the answer, she's going to already know but accept the answer for reasons that are obvious even to her, that there was a traitor in the midst. Because why in the world did the whale just all of a sudden become a zombie, right?
Sure.
And be unable to control. So I think this would be the perfect time for it all to come together for her to know,
Hmm.
even though it's just the beginning of the series, right? But I also feel like there's it would feel too forced to keep it going at this point in time with all the dots that are out there, from the mannerisms to the catfish to just everything going leading up, because she pointed out like two more things as well, like his actions, the way he talks, like everything is just bubbling up in a pot and everything. So I think in episode 6 we might get that big reveal to her, at least, that this is who he is. But I think they're still going to keep it under wraps between them two, type of thing. Because obviously he that if the other guy was his right hand, I feel like this was his left hand. You know what I'm saying? Like, because like it seemed like those three were close knit, right? Uh, But besides that, is there anything that you didn't like about the episode, or something that stood out above the rest from the episode?
No, it was like I said, it was a good episode because I'd been looking forward to to some action since episode one. I think episode one was was the last real episode where we actually got some decent good action. So just so this itself, kind of just seeing the levels of the beasts and the strategies to kind of defeat them was pretty much good. And then yeah, nothing I didn't like. And then yeah, I think more. I think, yeah, I can see that the catfish is growing, so obviously there's a level of curiosity there. But beyond that, no, good episode in my opinion.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think the one thing that's starting to stand out to me is the comedy. They're starting to put a little bit more of the humor in there, which is
Mm,
which I thoroughly enjoy. Like, yeah, we know the E sect was very menacing, but it's just, they care about the artifacts and stuff like that. So to see them stop chasing them, and like the shadow having a personality type of thing, it kind of reminded me of Solo Leveling, when Iron had showed the personality afterwards, right?
yeah.
Uh, uh so do you have any predictions, or is most of your predictions just wrapped up in Gyu finding out that he's the master?
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at. I think that's it's all leading to all my predictions will now kind of be leading to that. So yeah, there's nothing else to add right now. Until we get a bit more info. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think that's where I'm at too. And I think probably within the next two episodes we're going to get a reveal of who the bigger, wider threat is. It just seems like there's not enough uh given about the wider threat for it to go past episode 7 at least, and we have nothing going on with the wider plot at this point in time. But I'm thoroughly enjoying it, and I think we'll end it there. Let us know down below what you liked about the video, not the video, the episode. Let us know what your predictions are. Let us know if we got something wrong in the video, and you want to help us understand the series a little bit more. And while you're down there, go on ahead and hit the like button, the subscribe button, and ring that notification bell so you can stay up to date with all things Anime Association. Not only is it free, but it helps us give you this great content. So until next time, peace.